failure is an orphan, but success has many parents.
Yeah.
Right? Because when you're hot, everybody wants to be there. And when you're not, nobody's calling you, nobody's doing anything, right? So I was like, forget this. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm done.
Really?
I'm done. I hate the music business. They totally just like ripped the love out of it for me. And I was like, I'm done.
Welcome to Growth Untold, the podcast, where we dive into thoughtful conversations and insightful discussions with world-class people, all with the aim of inspiring, educating, and empowering our listeners.
We are thrilled to have you here with us on this exciting journey to explore the diverse stories and the ideas that have the power to shape the world for the better.
Welcome to Growth Untold, the podcast.
If you grew up in the 2000s, the soundtrack to your youth likely included a few unforgettable songs from this artist who lit up MuchMusic and packed stadiums across Canada. Raised in Toronto's Little Portugal, he transformed a childhood passion into national stardom, racking up Junos and reshaping Canadian pop culture along the way. But behind the spotlight came quiet years, personal battles, and the kind of reflection that only real life can demand. Now, after time away, he's in the midst of a powerful return, rooted in purpose and fueled by passion with an exciting new single and tour on the horizon. Today's guest is none other than Shawn Desman. Shawn, thanks so much for coming, man.
Of course, man. Thanks for having me. This is amazing. I'm
Thanks
so excited,
for coming, man. Like we said, you were like such a big part of our childhood, and to have you here today is incredible.
Dude, I'm honored as well, man. It's so great to meet you. This is crazy.
Thank you, man.
Love it.
Thank
I told
you.
you my kids love you, man. This
Thank
is nuts.
you.
I mean, I love you. This is amazing.
Thanks, man. I'm gonna have to do a video for them after.
100%,
Remind me.
100%.
We'll definitely do that. Alex, do you have any nice things to say? Like, what's going on here?
He's putting you on the spot, man.
You're all right, you know.
Alex, it's early for Alex. He's warming up.
Yeah.
I tell everybody because sometimes people don't know, but me and Alex like grew up together.
Really? Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. See,
Wow.
we went to like, I've known him since we were in grade 5 or
I love
even
that.
earlier. So
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always good to keep the good people close. You know what I mean? 'Cause you, I think as you get older and you experience life and go through life, you realize who the real ones are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Are you like that? Do you still
I'm
have
like that, man.
friends?
Dude, my closest friends, funny enough, are nobody from school, but like kids that I ended up like dancing with and guys that I ended up dancing with. They like ended up like, we're still friends, and all my dancers were like family, man. So like anytime I meet somebody new, I'm really careful as to like who I let into my circle now that I'm older. So like I don't need 20 people to hang out with all the time, you know?
Yeah.
As long as I got my 5 core, like those are my people, I'm good with that.
Yeah. And did you start dancing before you started singing? Because I know by the age of 16, you had like recorded 4 albums.
Yeah,
in Portuguese.
Exactly. So the dancing, that happened before. The dancing started after. Although I was dancing in those years, I just hadn't started taking like dance classes. But yeah, since the age of 9, like I just got this bug in me that like I wanted to be on stage. I never forget. I actually grew up literally right around the corner from here, like literally so close. And I did my grade school talent show. I was in grade 2, and I did a song by New Kids on the Block, which was like, to me, they were like my everything. Them and Michael Jackson. Yeah. And so I go up on stage and I sing the song, and I come out for recess, and like everybody's running to me, going crazy, and I'm like, I could get used to this. You know what I mean? Being a 9-year-old. And it was like literally at that moment, I was like, I think I want to do this for a living. It's crazy thinking like 9 years old, you kind of know that already. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And did you come from like a artistic family? Like were your parents? No, it was just you.
My dad did hardwood flooring. That's what he did for a living his whole life. My mom was, most of the time, she was a stay-at-home mom. My grandfather, however, my mom's father, did sing like in a wedding band, but nothing crazy professional or commercial. So yeah, I don't really know where the music bug came from, but I always remember growing up, there was always music in my house.
Yeah.
My earliest memories that I can remember are of me sitting in front of the TV watching the Thriller Michael Jackson video. I remember that vividly. And Michael Jackson performing at Motown 25 doing the moonwalk for the first time. I vividly remember these moments. And like, those were like moments that were like, oh my God, I think I want to do this. Let me try. You know what I mean?
And did you have siblings?
I had 2 siblings. Yeah. Yeah. 2
older,
brothers.
younger?
I'm the oldest. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Did they take after you at all? What they end up
They
doing?
danced for a little bit. My middle brother also was an artist for a little bit as well, Danny Fernandez. So he had a little bit of a career. But my youngest brother, nothing to do with music now. He's like the manager of like a car detailing shop.
Okay.
He's like, has his own cleaning company. Like that's what he loves. He's like the hands-on guy where I am not that. I need somebody to come to my house and put up a picture, bro. That's how bad it is. That's how bad I am.
Yo,
my wife
you need to share that. It's all good.
My wife gets so frustrated. She's like, I've been asking you to do this. I'm like, I know that, but I just can't do it.
Yeah, I try. I do attempt because I take pride in like, I'm a man. Like I can do this, but I'll get it wrong all the time. Like
100%.
the littlest things I'll get wrong. Or like, what did I put up? When we first moved into this house, I was putting up like a towel hook, like literally for the towel. Yeah. And like 2 days later, the hook was completely off the drywall, and like I couldn't even get that right.
You didn't find the stud first.
Yeah, exactly.
Even I know that.
I thought I found the stud. I thought I did. Okay, so by the age of 16, you had recorded these 4 albums. Like, how did that happen? Was it just a Portuguese community? And how did that happen?
I mean, my parents, man, God bless them. I mean, they did their best. You know, they didn't really know. Like, when your 9-year-old comes up to you and says, "Hey, I want to be a singer," what do you do with that information when you've never done anything like that? So, funny enough, down the street from my house, there was like this Portuguese singing school, and of course, they were like, "Well, we're going to take you there." So, I go there, and the gentleman that ran it was also kind of like a local Portuguese artist. And he was like making music, he was performing, he was producing albums. And as soon as he heard me, he was like, oh, okay. He's like, we should record an album, like literally right away, right? And so we do that. And then he starts getting me these like little gigs at the Portuguese clubs, like here and there. I start doing that. And all of a sudden, I know it sounds crazy and it's like not that big a deal, but I start blowing up in like the Toronto Portuguese community. Right. And I'm doing all these shows across Ontario. And then it starts expanding. And now I'm like going across Canada there's Portuguese people everywhere.
Yeah, big
Every
Portuguese community.
province, there's Portuguese people. So I started doing that. And I became, for lack of a better description, I became like the Portuguese Justin Bieber, like at the time.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And so I did that for a long time, recorded all these albums. And then it came to the point where I was like 16 and I'm like, you know, I've toured in Portugal. I've done all this. I've hit the ceiling of like where this is going to take me. There's nowhere else I can go. So I need to make the switch and start singing in English. So I then took it upon myself to start learning how to produce music, learning how to write music, and started doing that. And I would send in demo tapes to record labels. There you go. Like at that time, tapes, like cassette tapes.
Yeah. And you're fluent in Portuguese, at this point, right? So it's coming naturally.
Exactly. So I start singing, sending in demos, and about 2 years go by, and like I'm 18, and my phone rings, and it's like, hey, this is so and so from BMG Music Canada, who like had Britney Spears, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC. And I was like, hi, yeah, this is a joke. And I hung up the phone. I thought it was one of my friends just being stupid, right?
Yeah, I was pranking you.
And phone rings again. And it's like, Shawn? I'm like, yeah. They're like, hey, you just hung up. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, whatever. I can't remember. Mario, stop being a jerk, whatever. He's like, no, this is so-and-so. We got your demo tape. We'd love for you to come in to sit down and meet with you. And I was like, for real? They're like, yeah, for real. So literally the next week I go in, and within a month I had signed my first deal.
Wow.
Yeah, I was 18 years old. I'd never like traveled without my dad. My dad at the time was like my kind of manager. I mean, he did the best he could.
Yeah.
And so they send me to Sweden to like start recording, and I'm there for a month. I was actually in Sweden, believe it or not, for 9/11.
Seriously?
Watching it on TV. Yeah, it was nuts. Yeah, it was crazy.
And how old were you at this time?
At that time, 2001, I was 19.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Never been away from. I remember how homesick I was. It was like 4 a.m. I walked to like the closest 7-Eleven to buy like a calling card. At the time, I didn't have a cell phone.
Yeah.
You'd get a calling card and then go to a pay phone and like call home. And I remember I was actually with, at the time she wasn't my wife, but I was with my girlfriend, and I called her and I was like, oh my God, like I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this.
Wait,
like,
who is your wife now?
Yeah. We met when we were 12.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it's
You've been
crazy.
together since you were like 18?
Well, 12.
12?
Yeah, 12. I know, it's crazy, dude. Yeah.
Damn, man.
It's funny, and I tell everybody, as soon as I saw her, when I walked into the dance, we danced together. We went to the
Okay.
same dance studio. As soon as I walked in and I saw her, I thought to myself, that's the girl I'm going to marry. I know that sounds crazy, but
You
here
were
we are.
12.
Yeah.
Fuck, that's
And you've
wholesome.
got 3 kids now?
3 kids, 18 years married. Yeah.
Wow, man. Good for you.
Thank you,
Good for
thank you, thank you.
All right, so you're in Sweden and you know, you're recording the album. And why in Sweden, by the way? Like, why was it
Because that's where all the hits were coming from, man. At the time, Britney Spears, NSYNC, Backstreet, all those songs that we know were coming from Sweden.
Really?
Yeah, they were coming from Sweden. So
why is that though? What's in the water in Sweden?
to be honest, dude, I have no idea. But you know what it is as well is that their English is their second language. So like sometimes you'll hear a Backstreet Boys song, and like still, even when you think about like I Want It That Way, what are you talking about? We have no idea what that song means. I don't think anybody knows what that song means. But when they're writing, they don't care. They don't think about this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. They're like, does it sound good? Does it sing easy? Perfect. It's great.
Right.
But then what ended up happening after I came back from Sweden, this was like 2001, 2002, before my album came out, pop music was slowly transitioning to urban. It was becoming pop urban. And that's when like 50 Cent and like all these artists and hip hop and R&B was blowing up.
Right.
So I came back and they're like, well, we need to kind of create some songs like that because we don't have anything like that. And that's when I went into the studio and I made Get Ready and I made Shook, which ended up being the last 2 songs that I made for the album, which ended up being like the biggest songs.
The biggest songs.
off the
And you
album.
made those in Canada?
Those I made in Canada. Yeah.
Okay.
So I traveled
Yeah,
to Sweden. to work
it
with all
didn't
the
really
Swedes.
work out in Sweden,
Yeah,
did it?
Exactly.
Wait,
Damn,
so walk us
okay.
through this moment. This is like, I feel like this is like, if we can label like the "Mama, I Made It" moment when you had these songs at like 19.
Yeah.
You signed with the record label. You're all over MuchMusic. You got Shook.
I wasn't at that point yet. MuchMusic and stuff happened around 2002, 2003.
Okay.
The oh my God, I made it moment for me happened when I wanted to buy a pair of sneakers, right? And so it's funny, it's crazy to say, but like, so I call my bodyguard, right? And I'm like, hey, I want to go to the mall. I want to buy some sneakers. Can you come with me? And he's like, yeah, sure. So we go to the mall. And I remember walking through the mall and all of a sudden I'm looking behind me and this crowd is getting bigger and bigger and bigger until it's like probably 500 people following me in the mall.
Wow.
So I go into Athletes World at the time. They close the doors and they're like, you need to leave. And I'm like, I literally just want to buy a pair of, like I came here, they're like, no, like we're not ready for this. Like security didn't know you were mall security. Like the mall's going nuts. You need to go. And for me, that was like, oh my God, like this is happening. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like people now, I walk down the street or walk wherever and people know who I am.
Yeah.
Which
yeah.
is like a crazy feeling, a crazy moment.
Well, I mean, having a bodyguard is also crazy. That's the first one where you're like, I need a bodyguard.
Yeah, like literally I can't go anywhere by
Yeah,
myself.
stuff's happening
Yeah.
when that happens. But yeah, it is unreal the first time you figure out that you've lost your anonymity.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
I could imagine for you as well.
Yeah.
Millions upon millions of people who saw Aladdin. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, look, the world has changed a lot from back then. I think back then people did get this like celebrity fever where
Right.
they would walk
Right.
around. Now people are weirder, dude, because
Really, eh?
back then, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, people, when they saw you, they were like, oh my gosh, it's Shawn Desman. I have to go say hello to him. I have
Right.
to hug him. Now people have access to all the time on
You're
their
right.
phone.
100%.
So now when people see you, I feel like they're weird about it. They're just
Yeah.
like creeping. You know, I see people all the time. Like I was on the Strip
Mm-hmm.
in Vegas the other day, and I saw this woman walk down. This happens all the time. I saw this woman walk with her husband, and she was doing this. She like pulled out her phone, and she went. Like she pulled up, I think, the photo of Aladdin and was trying to figure out if it was me.
Right.
So people do that now. I feel
Yeah.
like back then it was.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it was sexier back then. It's like people were
there
like,
was less access.
yes, less
Right?
access, so it was a bigger
The
deal.
only time you were seeing artists or celebrities was on TV. Music videos, award shows, or you're watching like their movies, their TV shows. Yeah. And now you totally have full access.
Yeah, so it's-
like the, I don't know.
Allure.
Exactly. The allure is gone.
Yes.
Right? Although there are still some people that are like, oh my God, like I can't believe you're here. Like I see you on my Instagram or my TikTok all the time. And like you're right in front of me, you know?
Yeah.
Which is cool. But I did definitely think like, yeah, people are getting a bit weirder.
Yeah,
about it.
yeah.
For sure.
It is a little weirder now. Well, whatever. Everybody's perspective. I'm sure some
Times
people
change,
love
man.
it.
It's like, you know?
Yeah. So you start realizing that, you know, you're losing your anonymity a little bit. You can't do things the way you used to do them. And then Shook comes out, you know, it goes platinum, or I think more than platinum. And then what happens? You sign your second deal with the same label? Like what?
So we did put out a second album, and that was with like Let's Go and the song Red Hair, and then which were monster songs. And then I get a phone call, and they're like, my manager at the time was like, hey, so I spoke to the label, they're not going to renew your contract. I was like, what? I just had like 2 huge albums. Monster, I'm like a celebrity, I'm like a star here. What are you talking about? They're like, yeah, they don't feel like you're going to be able to do that again. I'm like, all right.
And it's such a surreal moment because you're like, how?
I'm
why?
so young.
Yeah,
I'm
like
so young. But then what ends up happening is that we get a phone call from Germany. And it's a DJ from a club, and he's like, hey, you guys have to get over here. You have no idea what's going on with Shawn Desman in like the German club scene. So my manager's like, okay, I'm going to take a trip. So he goes to Germany, and I never forget. It's like, he's at a club. It's like 4 a.m. in Germany. He calls me. It's like 10 p.m. here. He's like, yo, listen to this. So the DJ starts playing my song, Spread My Wings, but there was a remix of Spread My Wings, which was like a club mix. He starts playing it, and he takes the volume down, and the whole club is singing Spread My Wings. Wow. And he's like, we are missing this opportunity. We have to come here. So
yeah, bro.
2006,
bills, bro.
Bro, get that money.
Yeah.
So 2006, 2007, I spent a lot, like most of those years in Germany.
That's awesome.
Touring with Black Eyed Peas, touring with Missy Elliott, gaining a fan base there. I actually just got back from Germany. I was just there. I hadn't been there in 20 years, and it was nuts. It's like I never left.
Because all those young people are older now, but everybody
says
got money.
We got grown people money now.
Yeah.
We don't got to go to our parents for money.
Yeah.
So that's 2006, 2007. Mind you, I didn't have a deal yet. And so I started recording more songs. Universal Music Canada comes to the table and is like, hey, let's try something. So we work. And I released like the 3 biggest songs of my career at that point: Shiver, Night Like This, and Electric, which totally go bonkers bananas.
Wow.
And I was like,
I knew it. Yeah, I knew it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was my second coming. So that happens. I put out that album. And then after that, I put out another album that had like songs like Nobody Does It Like You, Dum Da Dum, which were big songs. I'm in LA in 2014. I get another phone call. My manager at that time, hey, I just spoke to the label. They're not going to renew your contract. I'm like, what?
What is going on?
I'm in LA recording my album for these people. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, they don't think you got
Also,
it.
what horrible timing that they're telling you they're not going to renew you while you're working on an album for them?
I'm working on my album for them in LA, like away from my family. And at that moment, I was like, man, you know what? These people actually don't care.
Yeah.
Like, they love you. I always say, what's the saying? I say, I'll think about it. Failure is an orphan, but success has many parents.
Yeah.
Right? Because when you're hot, everybody wants to be there. And when you're not, nobody's calling you. Nobody's doing anything. Right? So I was like, forget this. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm done.
Really?
I'm done. I hate the music business. They totally just like ripped the love out of it for me. And I was like, I'm done.
Damn.
So I stepped away. And then what ended up happening?
I want to talk about that for a sec, because that was we've talked about this a little bit, but that was a rude awakening for me as well. Cause I went to theater school in Toronto. I was a theater kid. I thought I was going to graduate and just do theater in Toronto. Right. Like that's all I just wanted to act and make a decent living. And when I was in theater school, I would talk to my teachers, and I had one teacher in specific, Dory Dory Elliott, my high school drama teacher, and she would tell me like how these big theater actors in Toronto would maybe breaking $100,000 a year doing theater, and I was like, wow, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's good enough for me. And then you get into the business, and it kind of becomes more and more about money the more you get into it.
Yeah.
Just because, especially as an immigrant, this like, I need to survival mentality.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, it becomes less about the art, becomes more about the money. And then you're right, you book something big and it's like everybody wants you. Like I booked Aladdin and I could have went with any agency in Hollywood.
Yeah.
I met with all of them. I decided on one. So you're inevitably going to piss the others off.
100%.
Because you've got to choose one.
Yeah.
But then you piss them off and you have your big thing. Your big thing comes and goes a lot of the time, and then it's like they throw you to the side. It's like they make you feel like we love you. You're the best thing that ever happened since sliced bread.
100%.
And then time goes on, and they're like, "Who are you? Oh,
Yeah.
you haven't done anything big," and they make you feel like crap about yourself.
Yeah.
And it's ultimately because you realize showbiz does not care about you.
No, they don't.
It does. They don't care about you. It's just about taking advantage of the moment. And right after you, there's someone else. They'll just move on.
100%.
Yep. And that's a rude awakening. You're like, oh, people don't care.
Yeah.
Like they don't actually care about me. They don't care about my family.
Nope.
They don't actually believe in me because they make you believe that they believe in you. Like you're gonna be the biggest
They
star.
are great
Shawn.
salesmen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're amazing salespeople.
I'm seeing a lot of similarities, by the way, and just both your stories sitting here, like faster to success, right? You release 4 albums and you come up with all these singles that go platinum. And then when Mina, so he had a going away party when he moved to LA.
Right.
And we all showed up for him. We're celebrating him. He's like, guys, I'm going to go live in my best friend's closet. That's what he did. He rented his best friend's closet. Wow. I'm saying the story for you. But like 2 months in, you booked Jack Ryan with John Krasinski.
Oh, yeah.
Then 2 months after that, literally like 5 months after Mina moving to LA, he books Aladdin, like $1 billion movie.
Yeah,
like
6 or 7 months.
But
yeah.
I'm seeing like similar like trajectories of you guys like having so much success. Like you're driving the cars, you build it. Like you're like, what the hell do I do?
Yeah.
How do you guys both? I want to hear from both your perspectives. How do you guys stay grounded while trying to maintain the success over time?
For me, I literally like had a very humble upbringing in terms of like my parents didn't have a lot of money. Like I think my parents didn't own a house until I was well into my late teens. My parents rented everywhere everywhere we lived. And I just was from
Were they immigrants, Shawn?
So my dad was born in Portugal.
Yeah.
My mom is Portuguese, but was born here.
Okay.
And, just since the beginning, I was always taught to like appreciate and like be grateful all the time. And I've always just kept that with me. So I don't care how much money I make, how famous I am. I tell people I am just like you. I am a person, like I'm a human, and like those things don't matter to me. What matters to me is like love, having good people around me, my family, like just those things keep me grounded, and just remembering where I came from and the struggles that I had to endure and overcome to get where I am. And I'm sure it's the same with you,
Yeah, for me, it's I've always felt like I've been pretty grounded just because, again, my family and where I come from. For me, what was difficult and still is difficult sometimes, it's getting a little easier because, like you said, you go through phases.
Yeah.
And you talked about your second coming. And I feel like artists go through phases. It's never straight up.
No.
It's never straight down. And I think the higher the faster you ascend, kind of the harder you fall a little bit for a while. But for me, it was always about like I said, the more it becomes about business and the less it becomes about art, you kind of get a bad taste in your mouth. And you're like, man, like, I don't even want to do this anymore.
100%.
Like, it's not like, this isn't even about the art anymore. Like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Like, that's why a lot of times now I'm starting to think about theater again, because you want to go back to your roots. You want to go back to why you fell in love with it the first place.
100%.
Because the more successful you become, the less it becomes a little bit about the art. And then the more you're kind of like, this isn't why I got into this. Like, who cares about these events and these
100%.
awards? And like, I just want to make music again, or I just want to act again.
Can I tell you, when I was young, I didn't care about stats. I didn't care about chart positions. I made music because I love music. I never thought of that stuff. And now it's drilled in our DNA, in our brains. It's about the algorithm. It's about the streams, and you got to go viral. And it's like, I'm like, when there was nothing like that, I enjoyed this so much more.
Yeah.
And that's where I've kind of brought my mentality. Even when my team is talking to me about, like, we have this record right now called Body, me and Jamie Fine, that's blowing. It's amazing. And when they're like, it's number, I'm like, don't tell me. I don't want to know. Yeah. Don't tell me what number it is. Don't tell me how many streams it's doing a week. I don't want to know, because I want to enjoy and live in this moment and just enjoy this moment without worrying about stats. Please don't tell me. I tell my managers, I tell my labels, I tell everybody around me, don't tell me. I don't want to know. Let me enjoy it.
Yeah. It's like for me, when when I first moved to LA, I can't tell you how happy and excited I was when I just got an audition, right? Like, just getting an audition made me so happy and excited. And yeah, the more you go through it, you're kind of just like, well, why aren't I booking these things? Like, what's going on? Are people even watching this? Because, like, so now you're right. I've gone back to that thing. I'm like, I get an audition and I take a moment to ground myself and I go, thank you, God. I'm
100%.
so grateful just to get to act, right? Because an audition is you getting to put your take on the character, and you might never play that character, but who cares? Like, you've played it for that short while to audition for it. 100%. So yeah, I think going back to your roots and finding the joy,
the why
in your art, the why. Yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
And I feel like and this is a good segue, I feel like every rise has its setbacks and its pitfalls, right? And around 2013, 2015, I know was a really important part of your life, Shawn, where, perhaps, misalignment with what your label was looking for. Your wife was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis as well, really serious illness. Yeah. All of these things are coming at you and you're like, shit, I gotta put this on hold and like focus on real life. Yeah. Like, walk us through, where was your head at?
Yeah. So my wife, became seriously ill with ulcerative colitis.
And what is that? I don't
know.
So
it's a digestive thing. It's an IBD. So it's kind of like Crohn's, where literally my wife lived on the toilet. We had a traveling toilet in our minivan where she would literally, for lack of a better word, she was shitting all day. Wow. And there was no control. Her intestines were inflamed, colon was inflamed, always inflamed. And so there are treatments, but there's no cure for this.
Right.
So literally, I already had my 3 kids at this point. My daughter was literally 1 year old, 2 years old. And I was like heavily just being a dad and being like a husband for my wife. She tried a bunch of treatments that kind of worked, but then, like anything, what happens is your body gets used to it, stops working. So you're on to the next treatment, on to the next treatment, on to the next treatment. And so finally, it was our 10th wedding anniversary, and we had planned to go renew our vows in Dominican Republic. And the morning of, we wake up and she's in the bathroom, and I already knew. I was like, fuck. I'm like, I know something's going on. And she was having a major flare up. And she's like, just go with the kids, leave me at home. I'm like, no, we're not going to do that. I'm like, we're just going to pop some, I can't remember what the pill is that like just basically makes you stop shitting, which is not great for you. I'm like, just do that. Let's go get it over with. She comes back, emergency, like in the hospital, really sick. And she had to have an emergency ileostomy, which basically is they remove your colon, they remove part of your intestine. And so now she has like a piece of intestine that sticks out of her stomach, and she has an ostomy bag, and she'll live with this for the rest of her life. If we just finalized the surgery, she just did a surgery called Barbie butt, where they literally, I know this is crazy, they sew your butt closed. So she has no like butthole anymore.
Really?
Yeah. So for her, the rest of her life, this will just, the waste, the shit is just going to go into a bag, and she has to wake up and empty the bag. But let me tell you, quality of life, her life has changed. Wow. She can now watch our daughter compete dance. She can watch our son play soccer, where before literally she could not leave the house. I'm not kidding you. It was so bad.
And this went on for years.
This went on for like 7 years.
Wow,
yeah, man. 7 years. And I was done. I didn't even have a thought of like coming back into music. I was like, this is my life now. this is what I'm going to do. And I was okay with it.
And
I was coming to terms.
were you financially okay? Like, had you set yourself up from the early years, or was that also a worry
yes,
for
but
you?
I also, a lot of people don't know, I run a very successful dance competition across Canada. So I do that in the spring. So I have a partner and we do that, which also is very good for me financially.
Okay. What's it called?
It's called Move Dance Competition.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. So I grew up competing in dance, and then at one point I was like, man, I could do this like this. I could do this so much better than this.
Yeah.
And so we're actually, we were 17 years this year. I've been doing it. A lot of people don't know that. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank
If
you.
we have time, can you just show us a little bit of a?
Show you a little dance move. I don't compete in the dance.
No, but Mina and I are terrible, so we would love to show us a little something.
What do you mean? I saw this guy dancing. What do you mean? In Latin? Come on, bro.
no.
He's dancing. He's dancing. No, that's bullshit. No, I'm just joking.
No, man, it takes me like a while to learn choreography. Like the dancing and singing in Aladdin were
The toughest parts for you?
the hardest
Yeah,
parts
yeah.
for me. Yeah, because I mean that's the thing, right? Like they spent a lot of time. They spent 6 months trying to find the person to play Aladdin because they were originally auditioning singers. Like they
Right.
were just getting really strong singers and auditioning
Yeah.
them. And then I think the producers and maybe Guy pivoted and said, no, I think we need like a strong actor
Yeah.
who we can teach the dancing and
Yeah.
singing. So that was
That's usually what happens. That's almost kind of like when I did Honey with Jessica Alba. She wasn't a dancer. Like
Right.
she never danced in her life, and she had to like learn choreo. But I think it was the same thing. They were trying to cast a dancer, but then like, this person doesn't have that like je ne sais quoi. And then they cast Jessica Alba, and they're like, well, you're gonna learn how to dance.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that was the case there. So how many years did you go away from music?
So I like 2014 to 2022.
Okay.
Yeah. So
about
like 8 years. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Not
did
doing
you
anything.
did you miss it?
I did miss it. I missed it a lot, actually. I missed it a lot. I actually suffered through depression a little bit. And I had to go talk to somebody, to a therapist. And just because what started happening was I was miserable, I was depressed. And then that started like feeding into like me not being the best father, best husband. And then actually I started like relying on alcohol to like sleep and to cope with these things. I remember I would wake up in the middle of the night and go downstairs and like down like 3 shots of tequila or vodka, whatever was there, just to like make me sleep.
So it was
my
bad.
brain was really bad. And then I had like a moment where my wife was like, you can't continue, like you can't do this.
Was it for you, was the struggle like about self-worth that you started doubting that you were worthy, that you were like, why didn't people see what I had? Like, what was it exactly?
A little bit. And I was just like, what, like, I guess you ask yourself, like, why did this happen to me? Why me? Like, I honestly just thought like people didn't care anymore. And that's a shitty thought. Like, especially when you're like on top and like you feel like you have everything and everybody loves you. And then it's like to like, oh shit, nobody actually cares about me. You know what I mean? So it really, it took a lot out of me. And I guess that's why, you know, I started relying on those things. So, you know, talking to somebody, you know, letting the feelings out, and it was the best thing I ever did. Mm-hmm. Like, honestly, it was the best thing I ever did, to be able to just like talk to somebody and not feel judged, or just having somebody listen to you. And then some of the exercises that like he was telling me to do, I was just like, oh my God, something so simple and made such a huge impact.
Like
you
what?
know? So there was this one exercise, it was crazy. I'm not like, I'm much better now, but like in the beginning of my marriage and stuff, I wasn't the best communicator, because I always felt like if I told my wife the truth or told her what I was feeling, she would judge me and maybe think less of me as a man. So he's like, okay, he grabbed the piece of paper, rolled it up, and he said, grab this paper. And I said, okay. And he's pulling it. He's like, I'm pulling you. I'm the fear, and I'm pulling you. What are you going to do? And I'm like, I have no idea. He's like, Shawn, you're a bad communicator and you're scared to talk to your wife, and I'm the fear and I'm pulling you. What are you going to do? And I'm like, I have no fucking clue. Yeah. What do you want me to do? He's like, just let go of the paper. And I was like, right. Basically, just let go of the fear and just do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like something so simple like that. And I was like, God damn, I'm paying you $3,000 an hour. You could have just done no.
Yeah. Yeah, but working through your
Yeah.
stuff, man, and what I've realized as well is that a lot of it comes from like very early days. You know, very
yeah.
like things as
Yeah.
a child. Like for me, I got bullied pretty heavily as a kid.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
And I think that really affected me. We went to both me and Alex, it was predominantly Caucasian schools.
Mm-hmm.
So me and Alex were the only visibly ethnic people. And like feeling like the outcast was definitely a thing I went through. Maybe also because I was an immigrant. I was in ESL classes.
Yeah.
You know, there was a bunch of stuff
Yeah.
where that made me feel like an outcast, that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't worthy. And for a long time, because I grew up in a very good Egyptian community, I didn't really feel it. But then I got to Hollywood and that stuff flared back up in
All
a
the feelings,
big
yeah.
way.
Yeah.
And so that stuff flares back up, and I've talked to my therapist about it too, and kind of working through it, I realized like, oh, that stuff was always there. I never worked through it, obviously. It kind of just put it under the rug for
Yeah,
a while.
yeah. Oh, dude,
But then
classic.
once I was put in a similar situation where I felt like an outcast, where I felt like a minority, all that stuff came back to the surface,
Yeah.
and I started feeling all that stuff again.
100%.
Because you'll remember in high school, like I felt comfortable on stage and performing, but as soon as it was day to day, like in high school, I was terrified to go up to girls. I was terrified to make friends. I was terrified to stick up for myself.
Yeah.
Like it was a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
And so again, when you don't work through that stuff, it flares back up
Dude,
when
are
you're
we the
put in a
same
similar
person?
situation.
I feel like I'm talking to like myself.
Yeah, dude.
Like-
I was.
And I don't know about you, but like my upbringing at home, my parents were great parents. They loved us. But there was no communicating.
Yeah.
There was I never went home and told my dad, I'm sad. I had a bad day today.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
wasn't a thing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like,
Because you had to be a man.
had to be a man, and I
Yeah.
was the oldest. So like, yes, my parents were great parents and they loved us, but there was no communication like that. And so that's kind of, I would, it's not an excuse, but I would tell Chantel, my wife, I'd be like, babe, I didn't grow up in a house where we were talking about our feelings. So it's very difficult for me to come home and express those things to you. And dude, bullied, I remember my first day of high school, the guys, because I'd already had like been singing Portuguese and doing all this stuff, and literally guys being like, watch out, like we're going to kill you like tomorrow.
Damn.
Like, I'm like, I didn't even do anything.
You were like this too. Your family life was like this too, right? Your parents.
100%.
I know.
We would like everybody here would just poured cement over their feelings.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
my sister was like,
Oh,
Alex,
here's the carpet.
I
Let's
know.
do this.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
my
It's done.
my sisters always call me. I'll be like, Alex, do you remember that moment in our childhood? I'm like, nope. I just like black it out.
Yeah.
Right?
I knew. So Alex's dad, like Alex would wake up at like 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. at the age of like 11 and go for runs. Like I know just from not even what you've told me, just from what I observed, your dad was like very hard on you.
You know what's my therapist at age 12?
No, how was it?
Well, no, but like, and honestly, I'd be like, yeah, my dad's like trying to train like the next Usain Bolt before
Right.
Usain Bolt. And so, and
Really?
my mom and,
Yeah,
You're a
he was
runner?
he was really hard on
well,
him.
my
Yeah.
mom and dad from Trinidad and Tobago, and so they would come. My dad would come pick me up and pick up my backpack,
Mm-hmm.
and he'd be like, "Let's go." And I lived like 7K away from elementary school.
And didn't he sometimes like follow you guys in his car and you guys
put
were
the emergency
running?
lights on and just drive slowly,
And they were running?
and I just run home 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Wow.
He was trying to create specimens. It was that. It did like junior Toastmasters Club, chess
But it's
club.
crazy that you're saying that because I feel like that's the story of like everybody.
Especially a lot of
Venus
immigrants.
Williams, Serena, like they
They
all
just-
have that parent that's like,
Yeah.
and that was my dad, literally my dad, dude. I remember being 10 years old in the studio recording at 3, 4, 5 in the morning, and he would wake up at whatever time to go be on his knees all day to lay hardwood floor. You know what I mean? So like,
Yeah.
and that's why I'm so kind of like involved with my kids as well. Like my daughter who dances and my son who plays soccer. Me and my son who plays soccer, like I spend a lot of time with him because I bring him to the practices. We go to the games. I'm very like, and I feel like, because I want to be like the way my dad was for me. I want to be that for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
But-
and you want to, and I think you also want to like maybe do for them what your dad didn't do. Not because he didn't want to,
Yeah.
but he just didn't like know.
100%.
You know, my dad is the same way. My parents were super loving. I love my parents. We have a great relationship. But just culturally, my parents never told me they loved me growing up. It's not.
Same.
It's just a cultural thing.
Same.
You just don't say that. They showed love through like my mom would show it through her food and her cooking.
Yes.
My
Same.
dad would throw it in like other ways, show it in other ways.
Yeah.
But
Mina.
you don't say it.
Yeah.
Mina, I love you, man.
Thank you guys.
We love you.
Thank you.
I love you too, bro. I can feel you through me.
No, but it's a generational. I feel like it's a generational thing.
Yeah.
You know, like people.
There was love.
Yeah, but they just didn't talk about
Yeah.
it. Back in the day, you just didn't talk about that stuff. You know, it was stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, but so you brought up your daughter again, and she's dancing. I want to fast forward to OVO and that big call that you got. Drake's like, "Yo, I'm bringing up all of my favorite artists I grew up on," and he's like, "I want you."
Yeah.
How did that feel, man? Was it 2022?
It's 2022.
And then I'm not gonna like spoil it, but then you had your daughter on stage dancing to Electric
up.
with you.
Yeah.
Man, how was that? Like the call, the moment, the live experience.
I was so torn as to what to do about that because, you know, he called me and I was like, dude, I haven't performed in like 8 years. Like, I'm going to suck. Like, it's going to be bad. And he's like, no, it's going to be great, man. Trust me. You got to come do this, Shawn. Like, come. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. And so word gets out that I'm doing it and people are calling me and they're like, hey, if you were ever thinking of like coming back into the music business, this is the chance. And I didn't think of it like that. I was just like, I'm just going to go do the show and then come home and be what I've been doing for the last 8 years. Like, no, it's not a big deal. And so more and more people. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to fucking show people why Shawn Desman is Shawn Desman.
Right.
I'm going to smash that night. They're not going to know what fucking hit them.
And had you been keeping up with your vocals and everything or not really?
Not really, man.
Okay.
But I went, so as soon as I found out, I started putting the show together. I was rehearsing the show in the mirror. My wife would come into the bedroom. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, yo, I'm locked in right now. Like, I'm going to kill this show. So I got to be prepared. So we get there and I have my kids with me, my daughter, my wife, my boys, and we see Drake. And I'm like, okay, we're going to go meet Drake. Don't embarrass dad, right? So we go up and, you know, he gives me a hug and he's like, I was like, dude, just thank you so much for inviting me. He's like, Shawn Desman, thank me. He's like, thank you. I was watching you, listening to you growing up. Like, you're a big part of why I'm here, why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm like, damn, that's cool. So I go up on stage and they put me like halfway through the show and the first note comes on and it's get ready and the place goes fucking mental, okay? Mental. And I'm like, what is happening? And I'm starting thinking, do people actually still care? So I finished the show. Everybody said it was the highlight of the night.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Were you dancing as well?
Yeah, dancing. Brought my daughter up. She
Damn.
danced with me. So I finished the show and I go up and the green room is packed. People are smoking, drinking. I'm like, I do not want to be in here. So there's a hallway that led to the balcony where Drake was like watching the show. So I go into the hallway. He comes out, grabs me. He's like, yo, Shawn Desman, eh? He's like, yo, come here. He's like, you're different, eh, bro? You're different, eh? I'm like, sure. I have no idea what that means, okay? I'm fucking 40 years old. And he's like,
You're like, I got 3 kids.
Yeah. He's like, bro, what's going on? I'm like, dude, honestly, I lost the passion. I lost the love. And he's like, I get that. He's like, trust me, I feel like that sometimes. He's like, but listen. He's like, those people, did you hear them? They love you, bro. You need to make music again. Trust me, you need to make music again. What do you say to that?
Yeah.
To somebody who's like the biggest artist in the world.
Well, and I'm sure you did feel it when you were performing, right?
I did. I did feel it.
I'm sure it was super emotional, man.
It was emotional. And so we get in the car that night. I remember my wife had been sick. She had just had her first surgery now, so she was better. And she turned to me and she's like, babe, I don't think you realize what you did in that room tonight. I was like, really? She said, yeah. She's like, I feel like the universe is coming around. And she's like, I think it's your time again. She's like, you got to do it. I needed that. I needed to hear that from her because she was a big part of why I stepped away. And I wasn't able to do anything while she was sick. I literally could not leave. Yeah. So for her to be like, hey, it's your time. You need to do this. I was like, I'm gonna fucking do it. Next day, my phone is ringing. My messages, people, where's the new Spotify, Apple Music? We were at the show. What's going on? Where's music? I'm like, I have no fucking music. I haven't been making music. So I get into the studio, start making music, and we released this song called Maniac.
On your own? You're self-produced it?
Yeah.
And that's changed. That's probably had changed a lot too in the 8 years.
Yeah.
That now people are self-producing. Everybody can put out music, good music. So
Oh,
that
everything's changed.
changed.
The whole shit has changed. Put out the song, goes top 10 in Canada, and all of a sudden Shawn Desman is back on the radio, however many years later with a top 10 record. Then start touring, and I'm like, nobody's gonna come and see me. Like, nobody wants to see me, right? We put out these shows, and like shit is selling out in the pre-sale.
Wow.
Like, I'm like, what is happening right now? This is so surreal. So we did a whole bunch of dates across Canada. Tens of thousands of people came to see me, and brings me to today. And here we are. And I have a song on the radio right now that is crushing. Announced a new tour that I'm so excited about. And it's like so surreal, man. And I don't take this for granted. And like, you ask anybody that knows me, works with me, meets me, I am the most like approachable. I love people. I love conversations.
Yeah,
I love meeting people. And social media has played such a big part of this. And it wasn't until I let people into my life and told my stories that my social media started like really going off. Because I think that's what people want to relate to a person they see maybe on social media and whatnot and be like, oh man, I've gone through something like that. Oh, if he's gone through that, I've gone through, you know? And it wasn't until I started doing that is when stuff started taking off on social media. And now, you know, hundreds of thousands of followers across platforms. And I'm having a blast doing it. But I did say to myself, if I am going to do this again, I'm doing it on my terms.
Right.
Because the terms before weren't fucking the terms that you know.
So you're self-producing now, or did you sign with?
No,
a label,
so I'm signed to a label called Wax Records.
Okay.
Independent label here, do amazing work, amazing team, love the team there. But I do it my way, and don't force me to do stuff. The music I make is going to be the music I want to make.
Yeah.
And even social media, I didn't want to do it at the beginning, as you know, bro. It's like it's a job in itself.
Oh yeah.
But people were like, Shawn, trust me. Because I didn't want to do like all the stupid dance trends and all this stuff. They're like, Shawn, trust me. Go on there and be yourself. And that's what's going to translate. And they were right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's you got to find I feel like now the industry's changed so much, even in, entertainment industry, music, acting, films and TV. It's changed so much that you've got to really carve out. Yeah. You've got to adapt and you've got to carve out your own path.
Yeah.
You've got to figure out, what works and what doesn't work and who you want to be and what you want to do, and that's why for me too, like, I'm still young, I'm still figuring it out. I'm going to go through, 10 more phases in my career. But like the phase I'm going through now or the one that a few years ago, I was like, I think this is what I want to do was, I found success in Hollywood and that's been great. And that's going to be, I think I'm just addicted to the grind of it all.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to do that for forever probably. But also I was like, I think I want to go back to Egypt and work there because Egyptian cinema is what I grew up on.
Right.
Like when I was 3 years old and my parents immigrated to Canada, they were turning on Egyptian TV shows and films, not American ones.
Right.
That's why when I was in theater school and I had friends being like, yo, like, do you know Daniel Day? I was like, who's Daniel Day-Lewis? Like, I didn't know a lot of those guys. Yeah. That education really, I did a lot of that education in theater school and in film classes. But growing up, I was watching Egyptian cinema and film.
It's crazy.
So I was like, I want to go do that. Yeah. Like, that's why I fell in love with acting. So I want to go and try and do that. 100%. And like you said, not a lot of people do that. And it's a different language. So it really exercises your acting muscles because you have to act in a different language. Like I'm sure for you, when you were singing Portuguese, I'm sure that it activated a different muscle.
100%. And it's crazy. You talk about that, dude. Like, do you realize like that's monstrous for you, dude? Like you went to Hollywood 6-7 months and landed one of the biggest movies of all time. Like that's not, you know, how many people would die. And I think that's also, and I know you think about that, how many people would die to be in that position.
Yeah.
And that was you, bro.
Yeah, I know. It is surreal sometimes. And I think sometimes when it's written in the stars for you, it's written in the stars. And also people see that moment. A lot of them don't see like, you know, all the community theater I did,
100%,
the 4 years of theater school I did,
Yeah.
the 3 years of working my ass off at a restaurant, trying to
dude.
make money.
Busting tables. My first job was McDonald's, bro.
Yeah.
I was working at McDonald's. I got fired from McDonald's for licking my fingers while making food. That just keep that in. Listen, I wasn't the only one doing it, and I'm sure it's still happening.
Can you
Just be
picture
aware
this?
of that.
They came and they were like, "You can't do that.
You're
I was
fired.
like, "What?" They're like, "You're licking your fingers and touching the food." I was like, "Right." Sorry.
You're like, that makes sense. I probably shouldn't be doing that.
Oh, my
Oh
God.
man.
Can we talk about this course correct that I feel like this is the main topic we're talking.
We're at 9:30 on timing.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine. We
All
got
right.
like
Yeah.
That's
15.
why we're gonna. Okay. So I want to talk about the course correct that you had. You had like really kind of like an act 1 and an act 2.
Well, in Act 3,
Exactly.
Yeah, you were saying
my
it's
third
2
chance.
acts.
Who gets 3 fucking chances, bro?
Yeah.
Who? Nobody. You're
Shawn
lucky
Desman.
to get 1 chance. For me to have 3 and like be like now back like on top is it's crazy, and that's why I don't take it for granted.
And you never thought this
Nope.
third act was ever going to happen.
No. Didn't.
And so the purpose of this whole podcast is about growth, right? And you're looking back at you've seen it all. You've seen success. You've seen setbacks, right? And Act 3, right? What's maybe one big lesson that you would share with young Shawn Desman, who's making his 4th Portuguese album? What's a piece of advice that you'd give to him?
I think there's a couple of things. I think one is always believe in yourself. Don't doubt yourself. And I think the other is like really watch who you let into your circle. I've had some bad people in my corner who are not in my corner anymore. But I had to go through some shitty times to realize those things. So, you know, I would tell them like, just be careful who you let in. Always believe in yourself. Never doubt yourself. Always be confident, not cocky. Be confident. And do what you feel in your heart is right. And be a good person always. That's kind of like how I just live my life. And I treat people the way I want to be treated. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And it's harder said than done.
Of course.
The confidence thing. You know, I talk about this a lot too. I'd be actually curious to ask you about what phase of your life this was, but I was more confident when I first moved to LA, living out of a closet, than I was after Aladdin in some
Really?
ways. Yeah, it's crazy how that happens.
Wow.
Do you ever feel like you looking back, you're like, oh, yeah, actually, I was more confident, you know, during this time than this time?
I'm the opposite. I'm more confident now.
Yes, now. But when you look back at like 2002
Right.
and or 2008 and pre 2002, would you ever feel like you were more confident? Because you talked about the depression you had, and
Yeah.
obviously, not obviously, I don't want to assume, but I would think that depression also came because you lost confidence.
Oh
a
yeah,
little
no,
bit.
100%. And in that period, I had no confidence, and also because I was like, you get inside your own brain where I'm like, if I put out music now and it flops, I'm a failure. So maybe I should just like finish where I finished, kind of like on top, and not like ruin my legacy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because like music, it's so different the way it's accessible, and like how now you can be anywhere in the world and like just type Shawn Desman and it comes up on Apple Music, Spotify. That wasn't a thing before. You had to actually physically go to a record store and buy a CD or buy a cassette, buy a vinyl. Yeah, but it's changed so much in that sense. So definitely like the confidence in that era from like 2015 to like 20, there was no confidence. I was like, everything I'm doing is shit. It sucks. I just got to stop. And like, just like, let's end, like just ended on the high note that, you know, it ended on.
Yeah, I struggle with those thoughts till this day, man. I struggle till this day sometimes. There's some, you know, some ruts, like
Yeah.
some days, some weeks, some months where I'm like, I should just go do something else. Like I should just like figure out if I'd be a good lawyer. Let me try to figure out if I could do that pretty quickly.
Yeah,
or
pretty
like,
quickly.
yeah.
Damn, that's a lot of school,
Pretty-
bro.
I'm like, how quickly can I do this? How quickly can I
lot of
figure this out?
confidence.
So yeah, you know, people go through ruts, and I think that a lot of times the average person watching a celebrity or watching a successful artist, they don't realize that we're all people too. And
Yeah.
like we go through ruts too, where we're just
Yeah.
like not feeling confident, not feeling beautiful, not feeling talented.
Yeah.
And we struggle with that stuff, you know, and people think that, you know, it's just about success and money. But for a lot of people, I would argue a lot of people on top too, we go through all that same stuff.
Yeah.
And I think what separates people from, you know, successful people from people who, you know, just live a mundane life is, what are you going to do when you're faced with that challenge?
Yeah.
Are you going to just say, I don't want to deal with all this stuff? Or are you going to find it in you to fight like a dog and be like, I've got to get out of this on the other side?
Yeah.
So when I go through those ruts, and I still do, there is still like a fire, even if it's tiny.
Yeah.
That's just like, Mina, you've got to figure this out, man.
Yeah.
You're better than this.
Yeah.
You've got to figure it out. You will figure it out. Just get it together.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, I definitely have those feelings as well. So sometimes it's Mondays for me, bro. I don't know why Mondays are like, I just don't feel like myself sometimes, whatever. But you know, I also say to myself, Shawn, don't take yourself so seriously. Enjoy. Like, as you said it too, like sometimes people with the most money are the most miserable. They have the most miserable life. So I'm like, I don't want to be that. So I'm not going to take myself seriously. I'm going to enjoy my life, enjoy my wife, enjoy my kids, and do things. But like, it's funny, like you say, like doing something else, and sometimes I feel like there's nothing else I ever see myself doing.
Yeah.
That's just the reality of it.
Yeah. In the end, I
Yeah.
think that's the answer. It's just, if there's nothing else, then you just got to work through your stuff, because you know that there's nothing else for you.
Yeah.
And there's always, I feel like it's your time when it's your time. Whatever is meant for you is going to find you.
It's like what I said when you said Aladdin. I said it was
Yeah.
written in the stars.
Yeah.
I just feel
Yeah.
like sometimes it's just written in the stars
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah,
All right, tell us what you got coming up, man. So what's
Wow.
coming up in the next year or so?
So big tour. I mean, the biggest thing is a tour that we announced happening in the fall, November.
You have a name for it?
It's called Back to Life.
Hey.
Back to life.
I love
Hey,
that.
I was like, I'm calling
yeah.
this because literally the fans, people, you guys, have brought me back to life. Like, so that's what we call the tour. We're doing 20 some odd dates. We're going to announce some more dates across Canada. Was just in Germany, going back to Germany for some more gigs, doing some writing in Sweden, in the UK.
Sweden? Yeah.
Love me some Sweden.
go.
And yeah, most excited about the tour. Also working on some TV opportunities, because I feel like at some point I'd love to be on TV. and
You've
to
got that
host it.
personality, man.
Everybody
I'm
says
telling
that. So
you.
I got to do something like that.
Yeah.
And then I think 2026 will be the break from music year, I think.
Okay.
Break from touring, break from music, and then probably hit him back hard in 2027. But that's looking way ahead. But like super stoked for this tour. You guys got to come out to a show.
Oh,
I
man,
would
I'd love to.
You guys got to do that. So it's going to be great. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic, man. Well, guys, it's Shawn Desman. Like, we all grew up on him. It's been amazing speaking to you.
Thank you, dude.
Like,
Same,
you
likewise.
guys didn't see this, but as soon as Shawn and I locked eyes, like, huge hug, huge smile. He's the sweetest guy. And like, yeah, man, you went through life like in a real way, man. Like, you know, what you talk about with your wife and your kids, like everybody can relate to that. Like
100%.
that's life, man.
Yeah.
So I want to congratulate you honestly on just being such an amazing husband and
Thank you, dude.
father more than
man.
anything. Seriously.
Thank you.
So
That
it's-
means a lot. That means almost more than anything else. to be
Yeah,
honest.
man. It's been a pleasure sitting down
And congrats to you, bro.
talking to you.
I can't believe
Thanks,
I'm
man.
here. This is crazy.
Thanks, man. All right.
All right.
That's it. That's how he ends it.
Good job, Alex. All right.
Thanks for tuning in and listening. Please subscribe, share, and join the journey of Growth Untold. Don't miss a single nugget. Hit that follow button now on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and Instagram.